What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Eating Fitness Live every Sunday, 12 Eastern Time. Apologies we missed last week, but we are back, baby. Here we go. Today we're talking about old school bodybuilding methods versus science training. There is a winner. Who's going to be, y'all? But first,
updates. All right. What updates do we have for them this week, James? Well, you guys, I'm pretty excited because this is peak week, not only for the Olympia, but it's also peak week for one of my clients, Jen. She's getting ready to compete at the 2025 OCB Chesapeake Classic. And it's such a fun show. It's actually a Masters Pro-Am. And so you get to see a lot of the Masters athletes and pros for the OCB come out. And it usually does really well because the Yorton Cup was just, what was that, last week before? So people are still in tip-top shape. So I'm excited for that show. I'm excited for my client, Jen. And I see someone's on there hitting all those hearts. I think it's Kylie. So thank you, Kylie. What other updates? How's the bulk going?
bulk's going well. If you looked at my post, I gained 4 pounds the last 2 weeks, which is a little too fast. So we're going to scale it back this week. 200 calories, going back to 2,700. I don't want to put all the weight on that fast.
So I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do because they're like, I'm in this growth season, I'm in this bulk season. So how do you feel about kind of like, you said it, like I gained too much, I'm going to like throttle back. Do you feel like that is kind of messing up your bulk, or what are your thoughts on that?
I feel fat. So, it's part of the game, but I don't want to rush the fat part of the game, right? Mm-hmm. Also, 220 is about as heavy as I wanted to get. So we'll see what happens. Aileen's on. What's up, Aileen? And Kylie. Hey, Kylie. Yeah, that's the biggest reason. And, it's kind of crazy, but I don't like the mirror and I don't like how my clothes fit, et cetera, et cetera.
So pumping the brakes on the bulk.
But it's part of the game. We're just getting it too fast, right?
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. It's smart.
Yeah, I assume I'm going to lose a pound or two and then I'll add calories back in to get back up to 220. But I don't see me going over 220 on this bulk.
Yeah.
Big T's on. What's up, T?
Hey, good morning. And yeah, I did pretty good this week. I was up 1.8. I'm not sure how much of that's actual real weight versus some kind of transient water. I had a very weird week, you guys. It was a very, very weird week. My training schedule ended up getting all flip-flop for different reasons. So I ended up training legs like the day before weigh-in day. And, the one thing that a lot of coaches don't talk about for weigh-ins is like, you want to be as consistent as possible, right? Like you're not going to want to train a completely different body part the day before you weigh in. Ideally, maybe you take a rest day before weigh-in so you don't have inflammation anywhere, so you can really see what's going on. But if you're like flip-flopping things week to week, it's very hard to figure out how much of that's water versus fat. So just in case, I'm going to hold my calories at 1,800 this week because like James, 1.8 in 1 week is a little too much, too fast for me. Like I really need to be maybe a quarter pound, half a pound a week as I approach 140 scale weight.
Yeah, and I missed it. Aileen said me too. Got to get back a bit. So Aileen's in the same boat. We're getting a little too fast.
Why is it so easy to bulk, you guys?
It was hard as a kid. Now that I'm an old man, it is very easy. So you gotta keep that in mind as well. I could eat all day, every day when I was a kid, not gain a pound. But now, ooh, baby.
Yeah.
Big T, James, that all dumbbell arm workout you put on the other day had my arms smoked. My man. Thanks, T. That's great feedback, baby. Way to get some.
Yeah, if you guys aren't tracking, James launched the 100% dumbbell series this coming week or this past week. So there's an arm bicep workout up there right now, right?
Yep.
Do you remember what drops next week?
Triceps.
There you go. So then you guys will have complete arms. Like, what do you do if you only have dumbbells? Which we have a lot of subscribers and clients that have home gyms. A lot of people travel for work and whatnot. So it's great to be able to whip out that all dumbbell workout and know that you're doing the most effective exercises. So I'm excited about that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I think it's like a great segue because today we're talking about old school versus kind of modern bodybuilding, and is there actually a winner? So so it's perfect timing with that dumbbell series dropping. Also perfect timing because we have peak week for the Olympia. So we'll talk a little bit about that during the session here today. But remember, guys, we're here for you. So if you have other questions not related to this topic, that's perfectly fine. Just toss them in the chat for us, and we will definitely get them answered for you. So yeah, let's jump right into it, I think. So let's talk about the golden era of bodybuilding. To me, that's kind of like the 1960s through maybe 1990s. What would you say?
I would say 60 to 80s.
Yeah. So, ones that come to mind, obviously the great Arnold. So what about you? What comes to mind when you think of golden era bodybuilders?
Arnold, of course, Franco Colombo, Frank Zane, Tom Platz, Mike Mentzer, Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
Nobody really talks about the guys before that. Chris Reeves was Arnold's, protege or idol, whatever you want to call it. Chris Reeves was the original Hercules in the movie as we saw it. He was one of the original bodybuilders as well. I don't think the Olympia existed back then, but if it did, he would have won it.
Yeah, and you guys, I want to hear from you guys. So type team old school if you kind of resonate with the old school bodybuilding style, or type team modern if you kind of resonate with. And if you're not sure, just leave it because we're going to talk all through this today, and then maybe by the end you'll know which team camp that you kind of resonate with. But yeah, one of the things about golden era bodybuilding that
Big T already knows, baby. Old school.
Yeah, there you go.
Miss Tech, why does Robbie Robertson still look so amazing in his 70s?
I love that.
Team old school. Yes, and he does look fantastic. You are correct. That's one we miss, Robbie Robertson. He's and he does look. He's in his 70s, man. Look him up if you don't know. Whew. Aileen already knows. Old school, baby. Miss Tactics, old school.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love still even watching the videos of Arnold and like Sylvester Stallone, and they're getting like a workout in. Like they're still hitting it. I love it. But yeah, one of the things that comes to mind for me anyway when I think old school bodybuilding is kind of like the fact that they had this more instinctual training method. They were going all out, just really gritting and grinding, training to failure, like chasing that pump. It was like very intense. What about you? What kind of like resonates with you with the old school bodybuilding or comes to mind?
It's all big compound movements and they all lifted heavy. Mm-hmm. There was no light lifting. There was no change the angle by 7 degrees and lighten the weight up so you can activate 77% more muscle cells. It was progressive overload. It was basic compound lifts. And it built amazing physiques. Mm-hmm. Terrence, Tom Platz still trains legs with intensity at his older age. Yes, he does. He's a beast. Yes, it's Robbie Robinson.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right. Like you mentioned, like the big compound lifts, like they were definitely doing they had a lot of simple tools back then. They didn't have all the fancy machines.
Correct.
That are all customized the way we do today. So, they had their dumbbells and heavy dumbbells at that. They had their barbells. And yeah, they were bringing that kind of like competition level intensity. And, I really like pump and iron because I think that shows it really well, like on how they were lifting. And in fact, it's like so inspiring. Every time I watch that, I'm like, come on, James, let's go out to the gym and get a set,
Have you ever seen Blood and Guts?
Yes. Yeah. That's another good one. All of those movies are great, matter of fact. So if you guys haven't seen them, definitely, take a look and check them out. It's definitely inspiring for sure.
Aileen said their diet was crazy too. I don't know if we're going to get into that.
We'll get a little bit into that because there's a little bro science philosophies now when it comes to modern bodybuilding and the diets that I think was a little different than back then too. Another thing that I think characterizes the old school kind of methodology was the amount of sets that they were doing. They were definitely doing like 20 plus sets a week at times. per body group. In fact, the Mountain Dog talked a lot about like old school bodybuilding and how they would be cranking out like all of these reps and all of these sets and to failure, which is pretty unique.
We're going to have to clarify because we dropped names like Mike Messer and Dorian Yates in old school, and they definitely did not do a lot of sets.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Neither did Tom Platz.
All right, fair enough. So even within this topic, I guess there's, you know, some controversy or disagreements. James and I disagree at times.
I mean, a lot of people don't think the 80s and 90s are old school. They think
That's
the
true.
old school into the 70s.
It's
and
60s,
then, there
70s.
you go. The 70s,
Yeah.
they were cranking out set after set after set. That's because of Arnold.
So yeah, in terms of modern era bodybuilding, I would think this is like late 90s through today. What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it really came alive around the 2000s. People started to really focus on periodization, looking at the data, really tracking, you know, reps and sets and kind of what they were doing. But it's funny, every time I think modern bodybuilding and I start thinking like modern versus old school, don't ask me why, but Rocky IV pops into my head. And it's like Rocky's doing this like brute training, punching the meat, whatever. And then you got Drago there, like in a lab, hooked up to machines, like measuring the force output of his punch. Like, yeah, so like that's modern bodybuilding right there.
All right, David Buster's on. Welcome back, David. Good morning. Old school is just common sense. The science lifters are changing their minds every week. I'll listen to them, but with suspicion and common sense. Well said. I mean, look at the physiques of the old school bodybuilders. We're going all the way up to the late 90s. That includes Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah.
These guys built fantastic physiques with these old school methods. And the newer guys, I mean, to me, they're subpar. They're just not as big, not as powerful looking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on like who you're talking about, but
put anybody next to Ronnie Coleman. I don't care who they are.
that's true. He's one of the greatest of all times. Come on now.
Or Dorian Yates. Put anybody next to Dorian Yates. Both gentlemen lifted incredible amounts of weights. Dorian Yates and Blood and Guts, you add up the weight, you're going, holy smokety smokes. He's lifting some heavy weights. And then Ronnie Coleman, of course, everybody knows Ronnie Coleman.
Of course.
His pedigree was powerlifting anyway. So, you know, all the videos of him front squatting 800 pounds are out there, baby.
So, yeah, you know, modern bodybuilding, I think of other things kind of like very structured splits, like pairing muscle groups strategically together in specific ways, you know, training with reps in reserve or on the rate of perceived effort scale, right? Where you're literally like, I think that was an 8 out of 10 in terms of like my level of effort versus just going in there and, you know,
thank you,
going all out beast mode style on the weights.
Yes. To me, like the science is people are looking for a cheat. They're looking for a hack. We've gone over this a million times. Why aren't the science guys jacked? Because they're looking for a cheat code. They're not looking to get big. They're not looking to get strong. They're looking for some kind of cheat code instead of just doing the hard work, which is what it takes.
Yeah, the only like science guy I could think of that like maybe is like not like that's Dr. Mike, but I would say he's more of a hybrid anyway, not pure science guy. Like I think he still uses a lot of old school bodybuilding principles and just applies some of the science stuff to it, but because he's pretty big.
And I mean, I've said it before, the science guys are not wrong. They aren't wrong. If you change the angle, you're going to add 77% more muscle fiber, right? But that's the cheat code. They're going, oh, lighten that weight, we're going to change the angle. Right. Instead of give me that heavy weight, let's change the angle, right?
Yeah.
All right, Miss Tactic. Bubble gut happened in the modern era and bad look for the sport. Yes, Ramy.
Very bad look.
Ramy, I forget his wrestler's name, but Ramy was like the worst Olympia champion in history, in my opinion. He did not look good at all. He looked like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Enough on that.
In reverse.
But you are correct. The bubble guts, the modern era, Kai Green was famous for it as well. That's why Samson Dauda is so amazing. Because he's a monster, but he's got that little waist. I mean, I think we're going to get into that a little bit later. But this Olympia coming up, if Samson Dauda can hit his conditioning, nobody's going to touch him.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Big T. As the sport of bodybuilding got more extreme, the waistline got thicker from all the drugs they're using. You are correct, sir. Danique, good morning. Welcome back, Danique.
You guys, I was so proud of Danique. She went and hit that Yorton Cup OCB stage. I'm so proud of you for making it to the pros and then, stepping on that stage. It is definitely a very competitive stage, you guys. So just to be able to stand on that stage, it's pretty awesome.
Yes, if you are unaware, the Yorton Cup is the natural Olympia. Mm-hmm. So if there's an equivalent to the Olympia in the natural world, it's the Yorton Cup, and Danique just competed at it.
All right, Dave and Buster.
Dave and Buster, I used failure. I was lifting this week and thought I had 2 left, but pushed through for 6 more reps. That's fantastic, David. I can't tell you how many times I'm training somebody and they're like, I can't do anymore. I'm like, you're doing more. And they end up doing 4 or 5 more, not just 1 more, 4 or 5 more. They got a breakdown in their brain, a mental breakdown saying, oh, I can't. You
right.
Yes, you can. Wow. And then he lifted 5 more times.
Not only that, if you were purely doing like modern science-based reps in reserve, that's where you might fall short. Because Dave, you might have been like, hey, I got 2 left in the tank. Good. I'm going to stop here. But really, you didn't hit the level of intensity you needed to because you could do 6 more. So that's kind of one area where modern bodybuilding might fall short of that intense, like brute force, old school style.
Yes, just another example of science telling you to stop short of what you can do. Which ain't going to get you there, brother.
Angel, good morning. And you're welcome, Danique.
Welcome back, Angel. I'm going to quote Dorian Yates. He might think, I think he said it 100 times. If you're not giving 110% in this sport, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, for sure.
There's not a person going to be on that Olympia stage that isn't giving 110%. They aren't leaving reps in reserve. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. I think modern bodybuilding too, outside of the training, the diet is very precise. Like people are doing reverse dieting. They're calculating macros, trying to hit targets. And we've got all sorts of like tracking apps now that they wouldn't have had. Like, could you imagine being like Mike Menser looking in your little lookup table book about like, what, the macros or calories are for certain foods? Like that would be painful, you guys. Like I probably wouldn't do it. So definitely different nowadays with the different helps and tools that we have to be able to do it.
That's true. I mean, it was all paper and pencil back in the day, old school. Now you got apps and everything else. You just beep, 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 done.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
And they do the math for you. Hey.
And you guys, I want you guys to drop modern in the comments there if you track your sets, your macros, and your sleep, right? So I want to see how many people are tracking sets, macros, and sleep. If you are, type modern in the chat box there for us.
I track it all but sleep. David, reps in reserve equals gains left on the table. I agree 100%. I agree. If you can keep going, why would you stop? It's all about those last couple reps is what makes the gains. It's not your first couple reps. It's the last couple reps. So
I agree. I still think about reps in reserve when I'm lifting though, you guys, because it helps me to set an appropriate amount of weight. And I have a pretty good idea of how many reps in reserve I can do. But again, like without thinking about it, I have a hard time figuring out where to set my initial weights in the build up. So I do like at least thinking about it, but then I go all out and do what I can. So, all right. Let's talk now kind of about strength and weaknesses of each of the different eras. One of the old school pros, I would say, is just the level of intensity, the simplicity, and probably the camaraderie that you had.
Dave and Buster, modern Garmin just tracks your sleep automatically. Nice.
Yeah.
Aileen, I don't track my sleep because I switch every 2 weeks. Your schedule at the hospital, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
But how does C-Bum, how does C-Bum compare to Arnold, Samson Dauda? In modern, really not as impressive as the previous generations. I agree. I think since the 90s, the physiques have gotten worse. They haven't gotten better. I think they peaked in the 90s.
Well, I think it's a question, though, right? Like C-Bum compared to Arnold, Samson compared to Ronnie.
Yeah.
And do you not think like Samson's as good as Ronnie or C-Bum's as good as Arnold?
I agree. 100%. I think Arnold's way better than C-Bum, and I think Ronnie is way better than Samson and anybody else you're going to put on the stage.
I mean, I think a little bit some of the standards and expectations have changed, right? Like, I don't think you could literally take C-Bum. Like, if C-Bum existed back in Arnold's time, I'm not sure what they would have done with that. They maybe weren't looking for that hard of a look. Whereas, like, if you took Arnold and fast forward him up to compete against C-Bum, like, I actually don't think he would have won against C-Bum based on today's standards.
Controversial.
Yeah.
I apologize, y'all. It's getting hot in here. I got to take this shirt off. Whew. I'm sweating.
It is weird in Maryland in the fall, you guys. Like, literally, it was less than like 50 this morning, and now it's like almost 80 degrees.
80 something. Right. All right, this is we forgot to tell you another update. Here's the new tank tops for the apparel. If I can get it up here.
Oh man, he's letting you down here. But yeah, thanks to those that did purchase apparel. We really appreciate it. This is one of the new tank tops. It's a little different than our other ones. It's kind of like outlined in this black and white versus the gold. So I really like that logo print. And then this is the ladies crop top. So if you like that, go ahead and order them. Especially if you like the crop top, go ahead and do it now because unfortunately, our site's not going to host them after the 7th of October. There's an issue sourcing them. So if you want this, you have to order it today or tomorrow.
Aileen, about your legs. You're all good now, training twice a week. I wish, Aileen.
So, Aileen, I think it's actually the 17th. We remeasure. So, I'm excited for that remeasure and see what's going on there.
So, I tweaked my back, Aileen, doing overhead press. So, no, the leg trainer is not where it needs to be. I'm still working on it. I tweaked my shoulder yesterday doing overhead press. Last week, overhead press, tweaked my back. So, 50 years old.
Here welcome to your almost 50s.
All right, Dave and Buster, I believe in the chemical science and supplements. Taking leucine with meals for 48 hours after lifting has helped me with gains, pushing muscle synthesis to the max. If there is a difference, I believe today the science of the diet and supplements is way better than it was back in the old school era.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the pros for modern bodybuilding for sure.
Yes.
We have a lot more information now about our foods. It's easier to source. Things are less expensive. So yeah, all the way around, 100% agree.
If you were around the 80s, I was a kid, but I was still into it. And you got protein powder, you could barely choke it down. And about the only other supplement that existed was liver pills. So there you go. You got chalky, nasty protein powder that you can't choke down and liver pills. So we're doing a lot better today.
I do love kind of the old school bodybuilders' discovery of supplements, like listening to Mike Mentor talk about his discovery of creatine and how effective it was. It was pretty neat. But yeah, I really do think a pro of old school bodybuilding is just the simplicity that it brought. And like I was saying, the camaraderie. A lot of times you saw them in there kind of pumping each other up, like a lot of partner stuff, especially because they were doing mostly barbell things, right? So they didn't have these machines to make it safer and easier. So there were a lot of partner things going on.
Aileen just named one, Wheater protein. Oh, man, that was nasty, boy. The stuff wouldn't mix. It was chunky. It was chalky. I remember.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the drawbacks, perhaps, of old school bodybuilding is it's pretty easy to get overtrained because you're not really tracking stuff and you end up maybe doing a little too much at times. So you have to be kind of careful. Obviously, if you're doing big, nasty, compound lifts at that competition level of intensity all the time, the risk for injury is high. I mean, you were just saying your overhead barbell pressing hurts your back. So there's that. So yeah, I would say I do like the structured recovery and focus of modern bodybuilding on the recovery aspect versus back old school.
Yeah. I think the camaraderie came with old school because it was such a small sport. Mm-hmm. It was just the same group of people showing up every day. Now you got hundreds of thousands of people switching and going and coming, and it's not the same group all the time. So you kind of miss out on that camaraderie they had back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's still there. I get excited to go to the gym and see like my serious peeps there, and there is that camaraderie. You do get a little excited, when they're there. So yeah.
Aileen said that's why they do the bro split, so they had enough time to recover.
For sure. I think, some of the things I like, don't like about modern bodybuilding is that analysis paralysis. I do this to myself sometimes because I'm an engineer and I like science, right? Like sometimes, you got to put the book down or the spreadsheet down and just do whatever the thing is. And it might not make sense, but a lot of times you can get kind of, caught up in your head with like the tracking and all this, and it falls short sometimes.
Yeah, and think about it again. Once again, before all the science was out there, they're building fantastic physiques, great physiques, maybe the greatest of all time. If we're talking late 90s, we are talking the greatest of all time, before any of this science crap even came out, right? The science is correct, don't get me wrong. But once again, it's not a hack, it's not a cheat. You still have to go in there progressive overload and train heavy and hard. It's the beauty of the sport. There is no cheat.
For sure.
There is no hack. You have to earn it, baby.
Yeah.
Big T, I've been able to put up bigger lift numbers since going on a mini bulk for the past few weeks. Me too, Big T, hence the tweaks. Because I've been lifting heavier.
Where I was talking about analysis paralysis, that's kind of one of them where a lot of athletes are like, oh, I'm in a cut. That means my strength's going to go to the toilet, so I'm not going to even try. And that's one of those things. It's like, I want you to go out there and I want you to give it your all. And chances are you're not going to lose strength until you're like a week or two out from show. And I've had a lot of clients build muscle in a caloric deficit, which kind of goes against a lot of the science side of it just because the intensities were there. So that's where you got to, not get wrapped around the axle on the science part.
Yeah. Miss Tactical, was women's bodybuilder better in old school? Yes.
Wow, it depends what you mean.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago or last week. Corey Everson was the picture of perfection.
Yeah, I liked Linda Murray too. I think Irish Kyle took it to a place it shouldn't have gone, and it kind of wrecked the sport from there, and it hasn't recovered.
Anybody after Linda Murray, just forget it.
Yeah.
David Buffs this week discovered you can do leg press on Smith machine, game changer, and now you have alternate to squats. Be sure you use the safety bars. Indeed, you get a lot more hamstring and glutes when you do it's a vertical leg press.
Yeah, so you're on your back. Yeah. Yeah, I do like that one.
I like that one too, Dave. All right, Michael Perez. Welcome, Michael. How do you guys think old school bodybuilders would feel about RPE, RIR? Do you know what RPE is?
Yeah, I think they would probably be okay with rate of perceived effort because they'd just be like, all right, Michael, I'm going in with a 10 out of 10 today. So they'd be fine with that. Reps in reserve, they'd be like, why on earth would I leave a rep left on the table? I don't think they would stop 2 reps short of their max PR. I think they would just go for it and not think about it.
Let's talk about RPE. What is it?
Rate of perceived effort.
Yes, perceived effort. Most people are very wrong with their perceived effort. We just talked about it earlier. Dave said he didn't think he had any reps left. He has 6 left.
Yeah.
I followed that up with most clients think I'm done, but they still have 4 or 5 left. So the rate of perceived effort is kind of a baloney scale. Unless you are completely honest with yourself, which almost nobody is, it's a baloney scale. Once again, that's a science excuse to go, oh, well, I felt like I put the rate of perceived effort in. Why am I not making gains? Well, you didn't track in progressive overload. I don't care if you think you're working hard.
Yeah. I do like it. I do use it with clients, especially. I'll ask them 1 to 10, how hard was that for you? And if they're like, oh, it was a 6, I'm like, great, let's add weight. So, I think it does have a place, but again, if the client's telling you, hey, that was a 9 or 10, and you're looking at them, they're not gritting their teeth, sweating, eyes bulging out. You're like, okay, let's add weight and see what happens, kind of thing, or try more reps.
How many clients you have say, I can't do this without you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of clients. They can't hit that level of intensity.
Rate of perceived effort is crap because they're in the gym at this is hard, I'm going to stop. Oh, well, that didn't get you any gains.
Yeah.
And then when you come here, you are putting the effort in because we're pushing you and making you do it. Come on, let's just.
I mean, that's one of the things
it's a flawed scale.
I like about old school bodybuilding, because they kind of were partnered up a lot of the time. So they're going to call each other out and be like, oh, come on, you had one more rep. Like, so there's that.
Aileen, seems like they're building real muscle back then, less shrinking when they stop.
Interesting.
A lot of the old school guys are still look great.
They
Arnold, Lou Ferrigno, Tom Platz, they're still very muscular. Frank Zane, all of them.
Yeah. What do you guys think? I mean, I think I know the answer, but who had the better look, the better aesthetics, the old school or today's mass monsters? I think you guys are probably all going to say old school.
Miss Tactic brought it up. The Bubble Guts came out at late 90s.
For sure. But yeah, so let's talk about the modern pros out there and whether they kind of are more old school or modern at heart. Like, what do you think about Derek Lunsford? Like, what do you think he would resonate more with? And we have, you know, you got to ask those guys to truly know. So we're going to give you our opinions of them based on, like, you know, some interviews and things that they have said over time. But and I'd be curious to see if you guys agree with us or disagree with us.
I like Derek. I know he seems like a good dude, and he's a former athlete. So I'm going to have to go with he's leans towards old school, because any athlete coming up through the college, high school, college is going to use the old school training program.
Yeah. I think I could agree with that. Like, more of that classic free weight style to it, but I'm sure he does have somewhat of a modern approach in terms of like the periodization and what he's training, when he's training it to be at that elite level, especially in today's age, for sure.
We have a good question. Angel, if you only have 2 more reps left, why not just wait and do 1 more set? I got this one. Because your last 2 reps is where you make the gains, Angel. It's your last reps where you make the gains, not your first reps.
Yeah.
That's where the gains are at, baby. It's the last 2 reps that are getting you the gains. Remember, progressive overload, you got to add a rep or you got to add weight. That's why you eke out those last 2 with massive effort, all you got just to get those 2, because that's going to get you the gains.
Yeah, so there's modern science stuff that says, like, leave 2 reps in reserve or so, and that's to limit the amount of damage that you're doing to the muscle cells, so you can recover within 3 or 4 days and lift again. So that's kind of like the modern science behind why you would try to leave 2 reps in reserve. But to James's point, a lot of people are completely wrong when it comes to reps in reserve, rate of perceived effort. So in order to kind of like ensure that you're creating hypertrophy, you know, you might want to go all out unless you're really dialed in with your body to be able to know that you've hit the right level of intensity.
Yeah, rate of perceived effort is completely crap. I'll never forget the first trainer I trained. This is a personal trainer. She trains other people. I trained her for a competition, got her ready for a competition. Our very first training session, she did a set of 10 and put the weight down. I said, what the crap was that? You didn't even put any effort in whatsoever. And she was like, oh, yeah, well, but I did my 10 reps. I said, let's double the weight and now do your 10 reps. And it clicked. I don't know how she trained her clients. I wasn't involved in any of that. She's still a trainer, by the way. But I will never forget, this trainer had no idea the rate of perceived effort she was doing. She's a trainer.
I will say, if you are horrible at guessing that, if you actually track your reps and sets and progressive overload, you will close that gap to where, it will eventually get intense enough to create muscle. If you keep progressing over time, you're going to hit that window where you're like, oh man, this is intense. So if you're bad at it, that's fine. Get the logbook.
Dave and Buster, if you don't go to 100%, you're wasting your money on supplements and pre-workout. The supplements are used to get you those last reps, and those are the reps that get you the gains. Well said, David. Well said.
I like it.
Aileen, that's why I do cluster sets here and there.
It's a great way to like add some intensity there just to make sure. Yeah, for sure. So what about others? What about Samson Dauda? What do you think he is, more old school or modern?
He's only been lifting for 11 years, I think. So I'm going to have to go with modern on him.
Yeah, like definitely kind of that high volume, progressive overload kind of style. Nice aesthetic balance, though, like you said
Yes,
earlier.
for how big he is very aesthetically balanced. That's why I said if he nails his conditioning, nobody's going to touch him.
Yeah.
Derek's a good dude. He beat him because, Samson was off, didn't make his cut, didn't make his conditioning, and Derek did. So, if Samson does come in condition.
I was going to ask you guys any Olympia predictions since we're in Olympia peak week. We know James's opinion here.
Jumped the gun.
It sounds like he's saying Samson Dauda is going to take it.
Yes, I think Samson's going to take it. Classic physique. I'm going with Logan Franklin. That's going to be a big upset. Matt, I forget the German guy's name, is going to be the favorite, but I think Logan Franklin's going to upset him.
Yeah.
As far as men's physique goes, I have no idea. I don't really follow men's physique yet.
Angel says, why do drop sets if you're pushing to get those last 2 reps? Not trying to stir the pot, just asking questions to get better understanding.
So when you do a drop set, Angel, technically you're supposed to hit failure before you drop the weight.
Yeah.
So that's why you do a drop set. You don't leave 2 reps in reserve. So you hit failure 3 times. Fail, drop the weight, 1 more time, fail, drop the weight, 1 more time, fail.
Yeah. You got it.
Did that answer the question?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. What about Nick Walker? What do you think about Nick Walker's style? He definitely kind of has that bro split style.
Again, he hasn't been in the game very long, so I got to go with
modern.
I really don't follow these guys that close enough to tell you, 100%. I'm guessing. Nick's a big dude, but he's blocky.
Yeah. So
I don't think he's ever going to win Olympia. He's going to be at the top, but I don't think he'll ever win. He's just too refrigerator.
What would you have said C-Bum was?
Fantastic.
No, I mean modern versus old school or some kind of hybrid, because I kind of feel like he would be some kind of hybrid. He definitely does a lot with the macro tracking and all that.
He lifts heavy and he does compound moves. So in the gym.
More of an old school flair to him.
Yeah.
No, interesting.
All right, Miss Tactic. I like Samson a bit more, but I think Derek will reclaim. Nice. You're welcome, Angel. Anytime, brother. We're here to help.
So yeah, I mean, you guys, let's talk about science versus experience, right? Like this is kind of getting into more of like me and James's training style, 88 Fitness. I would say 88 Fitness training is a hybrid. You can see a lot of old school kind of influence in a lot of what we talk about with you guys, a lot about, when we're actually lifting and doing exercises. But we do have a lot of modern flair, and we try to incorporate the science when it makes sense. Like that's what I would say about 88 Fitness training.
Sure. 100%. I mean, I'm old school, you're science, so it's a good blend.
There you go. I mean, we challenge each other all the time, you guys. Literally, I think it was this week, James is in there like, why on earth are you taking 2 to 3 minute rest in between your sets? And I'm like, because I want to hit each of these sets like almost to failure, and cardiovascularly I cannot recover, and I'm just going to take more rest. I don't care. So we're always like going at each other out there with the modern versus old school and challenging status quo.
Are your rests the same between every single set of every exercise?
No, they're different. So if I'm training legs, like I might rest for 5 minutes between sets of squats or something like that. Yeah. But I try to be consistent. I do track my rest periods in my log. So I'm consistent each time I go out. So if I'm trying to progressive overload next time, I make sure I rested that 2 minutes or whatever it was that I did last time. So I can at least compare apples to apples. So yeah, I'm a little different. I believe in like 4 to 6 sets total per body part per week, which is maybe a little less than what James does or thinks about, in terms of sets per week per muscle group. I think James has a lot more old school, bro split. I do like a modern, modified Arnold split kind of thing. So it's a little different.
Excuse me. Aileen, the science changes a lot year to year. Hard to keep up. Dave said the same thing. Every couple of weeks, it's a change. It contradicts itself, et cetera, et cetera. So once again, I'm trying to find a cheat here, y'all. This is the science is going to be the cheat.
I like it, though. I like that. There are some science guys that will actually come back and tell you I was wrong. I was using this, like basing my assumptions off of study XYZ. And, upon relook, that study is inaccurate or invalidated by a new study. So I'm okay with that as long as, they're kind of telling you where they misstepped. And a lot of it is just the interpretation of the different studies that they do. Like there's a lot of difference between like a novice lifter and an advanced lifter and an intermediate lifter. And most of the people they're using for studies are novice lifters, or they don't lift
off the couch.
So, they're like making claims on all these gains, and you're like, well, of course they have gains. They're right off the couch. So yeah, I mean, you got to take the science stuff with a little grain of salt and really look at the study that someone's claiming, and then make your assumptions on whether you agree with that science and, assumption or not.
Angel from El Paso, welcome back, Angel. What do you think of Seth Feroce? Do you even know who that is?
I don't track him.
So I remember Seth when he competed, and the sport kind of killed him, and he kind of killed himself when he competed. But he bounced back, and he's living large today with his own supplement line. He's big on YouTube. He'll tell you how it is. I think the sport kind of got a bad taste in their mouth from Seth, and they pushed him out because he blamed his loss on toothpaste. He said he had an allergic reaction to toothpaste. That's why he lost the nationals where he was supposed to win.
That is a weird thing to
his pro card. Anyway, instead of just owning it, he made an excuse. I'm allergic to toothpaste, so the sport kind of killed him. But I'm glad he's still in it. He's still doing his thing, and he does know his business. So, he doesn't really preach anything wrong that I've heard.
All right.
So I'm glad he was able to bounce back. But anybody that remembers him from the sport is probably going to just shake their head and move on, right?
Yeah.
But heck of a physique. I wish he would come back, make a comeback. I don't ever see it happening because the sport, like I said, pushed him out.
Never know. Never say never.
You never know. Dave and Buster, resting between sets also allows us to get in a little more volume before failure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have tried, there have been times where I'm short on time, you guys. So I'll try to do short and rest. Yeah, those are not good logging. I cannot say that I did as good or better than my last training set on the days where I attempt to do that. So now, if I know I'm short on time, I won't even attempt to work out. I'll just say it's a cardio day or whatever.
And once again, your rest periods are flawed as well because I'm bulking. I'm up literally 12 pounds, 14 pounds. I'm huffing and puffing. It's not because of the rest period. It's because I'm fatter.
Maybe you need to rest longer because your poor heart's under more stress there. I don't know.
So this is my point. If I kept the same rest period from when I was 206 to now 220,
you can't.
It's not going to work.
You gotta adjust that
because I'm 14 pounds heavier. I have to rest longer. I'm breathing heavier. Everything's a little bit harder because I'm fatter. Right. So once again, your scale.
Yeah. I mean, old school or modern, you guys, it's not just about counting volume and reps and sets. It's about, trying to actually stimulate that growth and taking the time to recover. So whether you're more camp old school or camp modern, make sure you're still stimulating that growth and doing enough intensity there. I think science is great to kind of provide you this roadmap, if you will. But when it comes to actually getting it done, use that old school kind of mantra or, intensity.
I mean, we're all, been in this game a while, and you can see the guys out there in the heavyweights lifting like crazy. These are not science, gentlemen. These are big, strong, and I hate to say it, but not very smart gentlemen. My boy Lane Cornelius was not the smartest man in the world, but he would go in and kill the gym and built one heck of a physique without one scrap of science. All the guys from the old school didn't use one scrap of science to get in there and build their physiques.
Good point.
Lane at the end getting stronger to get bigger. You are correct.
Yeah, you got it. Don't be afraid to use a hybrid training strategy at times. James and I are big fans of intensifying techniques like rest pause, static holds, using drop sets, not too much, but occasionally using drop sets. Even doing like partial reps if you're in the lengthened position. So to me, these are like modern approaches to hit that old school intensity at times. So don't be afraid to make that hybrid approach.
Absolutely. Angel got a good question. How do you think Urs will do at the I was hoping that would come up.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Urs because he's coming from Classic.
That's pretty awesome.
He's crushed Italy and then German, and then he's going to do the Olympia. How do I think he's going to do? I think he's going to crack top 5.
I hope so.
I hope he cracks top 5.
So.
Right. But I think he's just undersized right now. You know, if he keeps putting the size on like he did this year, another 2 or 3 years, he'll be at the top.
Yeah. Without
question. But right now, he's just a bit undersized to be bodybuilder at the top of the O stage. If you see him next to Samson Dauda or Derek Lunsford, you're going to go, oh, okay, yeah, he's a little small.
I love, like, taking the chance, though, and, like, even knowing that you have to grow into that class versus just staying, you know, where you're at and, you know, be on the top of your game. Like, that's putting yourself out there for sure.
Yep. Angel, I think 8th or 9th. Yeah,
that might be more realistic of I guess.
I'm hoping top 5 just because I like him, but I don't think he'll actually crack the top 5.
Yeah. And what do you guys think? Like, what old school technique are you still using in your training? I know for you, like I said, it's probably the compound lift one that resonates in the intensity. That resonates most with you.
Especially now that I'm bulking, you know, I shied away from the heavy weights for a little bit because I am getting a little bit older and tweaked and broken and stuff. But I looked at, actually Camille looked up a picture when I was bodybuilding, and I looked at it and I said, whoa, I was a whole lot bigger back then. What the heck am I doing differently? And it's because I've been lifting the lighter weights.
Interesting.
You know, and I think it's because I lifted the lighter weights. Hopefully it's not because I'm old. But we'll see, because I'm going back to heavy. As long as I don't break myself, we're going to stick to heavy for a couple months and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully those legs come up, Aileen.
Yes, we're going to measure them. 1 week here, 2 weeks.
Miss Tactic, Sean Ray was saying it's too soon for Urs. Yeah, he's saying he's a little undersized. Just like, yeah. I think it's pretty well known across the sport. If you know what you're talking about, he's just slightly undersized.
Angel's got a great question. Are you still using the Gripzilla?
Somebody used it yesterday.
I used it literally yesterday, Angel. It was really funny. I was doing, trying to work on my extensors here, and I was doing dumbbells, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. So then I grabbed the straight barbell, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like something just was like tweaked or not feeling right. And I was like, aha, I got just the thing. And I broke out the Gripzilla, and I'm like doing this, and he was just laughing. So yeah, we are still using the Gripzilla.
It gets used. It definitely gets used. It's not, you know, I thought it was going to be on the
collecting dust.
On the rack collecting dust, but I have to admit, it gets used pretty regularly.
Yeah, I know. You broke that out when Big T was here training one day, and he was like, oh my goodness. Like that definitely fatigues those forearms there.
Dave and Buster, it's about old school and science, but mostly about the art of bodybuilding. If your mind isn't tuned into the art, you will never be your best. The art is hard to find, but you know it when you do, like a mind to muscle connection. You know? I
love like all of Dave and Buster's sayings, you guys. I need to have like a book of just Dave quotes. They're so good. So yeah, I think, you know, there really is no perfect era when it comes to bodybuilding. The best approach is it's just going to be whichever one you guys can sustain with intensity and consistency.
It's hard work.
So,
and that's what most people don't want to hear, and that's what most people don't want to do, and most people don't even have the idea of what hard work is. It's rate of perceived effort. It's crap. I think I'm working hard. I told this story before. You know, I was doing 315 for one. I mean, months at a time. I'm doing one at 315-pound bench for 1 rep. You got to go in there and do 2, or you're doing nothing.
You're just
maintaining, right? So the minute I figured that out, guess what? I got 2, and then guess what? I got 3.
That's really when we started tracking. I think we weren't tracking in logbooks before then.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
But believe me, 315 for 1 felt hard. The rate of perceived
course.
effort was a 10 out of 10, right? But could I do 2? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then could I do 3? Yes. All the way up to 10, yo. And then guess what? Heavier weight.
It's frustrating sometimes because you're like looking at your logbook like, what? I was doing preacher curls with the 30 for like 9 reps. Like, what on earth? Like, I gotta beat that today. Like, oh boy. So it's interesting. It can definitely play games with you mentally.
Yeah, I said that before too. It'll call you on your BS. Oh, I'm tired today. I don't care if you're tired. What weight does your book say you have to lift? And if you can't lift it, take a rest day and come back the next day.
Yeah.
Right? It takes the BS out. And I also said shoulder day and arm day used to be easy before I was tracking. They're not easy anymore, yo. Why do you think I tweak myself with overhead press? Because I'm progressively over.
Yeah, you're trying. I will say, like, over time, I used to maybe have more of an old school philosophy, and I definitely ended up overtrained with that philosophy. And so that's why my splits look the way they do today, like why I basically don't work out until I'm not sore anymore and stuff like that. But that was like a hard thing I had to learn. I kept trying and trying for years, and I think I actually wasted years and years, just ended up overtraining until I finally was like, I can't work out the way James does. I'm going to have to do something different that's not working for me. So
and it is tough to switch up your style, especially when you made gains
previously
and you're used to that style and you like that style. But believe me, you got to change it up if you want to keep gaining, baby.
Yeah.
Angel said, James, how's your back? It was doing great. It was great, Angel, till this week. Stinking overhead press, tweaked my back.
Yeah.
I think it was 275 pounds I overhead pressed. And as soon as I racked it, I went, sugar. Something going on in my back. But it doesn't feel like it's bad. So when do I got legs? Wednesday, I got legs. So hopefully by Wednesday, I can, crank it up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, that's where modern kind of helps, right? If you do still have that tweaked back, there's other things you can do for legs that aren't just pure squats and whatever. So you at least have that. You could do leg press, for instance, not a lot of loading on the back. You could do like some isolation work. Yep. So you got some options.
True. Dave and Buster, I feel like doesn't matter. The only truth is in the spreadsheet. Use the day, find trends, make improvements. I love it, baby. I love it, baby. Check your feelings at the door. What your book say?
I like it if we're talking spreadsheets. I actually have a really interesting thing going with ChatGPT. It basically is logging my weight trends since I competed in August and showing me 7-day projections based on what I eat. So every day I go in there and I update my weight, my macros I ate, and it's very interesting looking at the trend patterns and how accurate it can guess. And it's getting closer and closer the more data I feed it. So it's kind of fun watching the food and then looking at the logbooks on the workouts to see how those kind of jive too.
Yeah.
So I definitely like my spreadsheets and modern approach to bodybuilding.
That's fantastic. And again, if you're not tracking, you're just throwing darts at balloons, man. You're guessing. And the rate of perceived effort is crap. You're guessing once again, it felt hard. Get out of here with that.
That's got to be like James's takeaway from today's session. Rate of perceived effort's junk. I don't know that I fully agree with that, but and we'll talk through that, you guys, when we get to my hypertrophy series.
Have you had one client ever have the correct rate of perceived effort? One.
Very rare. I'm trying to think. No, probably not.
No.
Maybe Miguel Paula.
Not one. Mistaken James, will machine exercise serve you better to avoid back injuries? Yes, sir. I went and did back at Planet Fitness. What was that, yesterday? Yesterday.
Yeah.
So I could do everything supported. I couldn't do any bent over rows. I couldn't do my rack pulls like I was supposed to. But I went in and got the workout and used machines so that, my chest is supported. I didn't have to bend over to do a bent over row.
So yeah, you guys, if you love this topic, old school bodybuilding, I encourage you to take a look at our old school bodybuilding playlist.
Yeah.
James and our former sponsored athlete, Miguel Paula,
old school specialist, Miguel Paula,
filmed an entire series inspired by old school bodybuilding. So definitely check that out. I'll post links to the videos in the description of this. Give me a few minutes though after this is done. But it's really fun. I had a lot of fun filming that particular series with Miguel. So definitely check it out, you guys. I think you'll love the workouts. Make sure you're checking out that all dumbbell series that James has going. Tricep videos this coming Wednesday. Oh, and you guys, we're going to actually change our video posting times for the longs to 12 noon Eastern time. So normally we've been dropping them at 5 a.m. We're going to move that down to noon. So make sure you check out for live updates on our channel at noon.
There it is.
Yeah.
Dave and Buster, the only rate of perceived effort that's 100% is when you're grinding out the last reps. Mm-hmm. Well said. And Mike Mentor said, go to failure. That way you ensure you gave 100%. There's no other way to ensure you gave 100% unless you go to failure. Mm-hmm. And once again, remember, it's the last couple reps is where the gains are at. It's not the first couple reps. Fitness Freak, question for you guys. I have 15-pound dumbbells. I do 20, 30 reps for 4 sets in every variety of workouts. Is it beneficial to gain muscle? You can do a lot better than that, brother.
Yeah, I would say no more than 20 reps. But after you start going above 20 reps, you're not necessarily building muscle there. So you need to look at ways of intensifying what you're doing and maybe bring that rep range down. So definitely look to do some of that rest pause technique, static holds, the drop sets, supersets.
You need heavier weights, man. Have you ever heard of the aerobic class body pump? Because that's pretty much what you're doing. I
mean, I understand though. A lot of people, if they are working at home, you're not going to have like weights in every size all the way up to 100s, right? So sometimes there's a limit to how much you can have. And so you got to get really creative on how you're pairing the exercises together to hit that level of intensity.
I would highly recommend you get some heavier weights. That's my recommendation.
There you go.
Or join a gym. Mm-hmm. Big T, how often should workouts be switched up when you feel like you hit a plateau with the workouts? Great question. Typically 6 to 8 weeks, you want to switch it up. But if you're at a plateau for the straight 8 weeks, I might not wait the whole 8 weeks.
Yeah, no, like I would go 2 or 3 weeks, T. And if you cannot add a rep or add weight to whatever the exercise is, switch it out temporarily for something else. I've done this a lot, especially with flat bench versus incline versus barbell versus dumbbell. I'll switch them out when I kind of get stagnant. And it's kind of fun because just the other day I went back to flat bench and I was like, whoa, like I can lift a lot of weight. And I had been doing dumbbell for the last like 8 weeks. So yeah, wait 2 to 3 weeks and then switch out the exercise.
But make sure you're giving it your all, T. Right. The rate of perceived effort better be 100% if you're at a plateau. Yeah. You're not just going, oh, I'm stuck, right?
And I say 2 to 3 weeks because that takes out some of the variables, because it could have been like, hey, I underate one day, or my diet was different, or I didn't sleep, and so then I went and didn't perform well. So you want to give it a couple weeks to make sure those variables aren't what's at play.
Yeah. Aileen, train abs to support your back more. Yes, sir. More core strength. You are correct. Angel, take care of yourself. James,
bye,
keep lifting,
Angel.
Keep living, keep laughing. Thanks for tuning in, Angel. Appreciate you, bro. Dave and Buster, what do you think about high reps for pre-exhaustion? The same thing as Fitness Freak. You can do better. It's body pump. You know, if you want to tone, okay. But if you want to build muscle and make hypertrophy, you can do better.
Yeah, I don't like that a lot of times too, because of the buildup of the lactic acid burn usually will stop me before reaching true like technical failure. So I don't like doing a lot of like pump sets before to pre-exhaust. Yeah, because once that starts burning, you're like, oh boy, I don't want to keep lifting. You're not going to PR.
Great question.
Yeah, great question. I love these questions, you guys. That's why we're here every Sunday at 12 Eastern for you guys to answer any questions you have. So I appreciate all of that. I guess it is time to wrap up for today. So like I said, old school, modern, either way, pick your poison and then be painfully consistent and bring that intensity, you guys.
Yeah, I think Dave said it best. You know, go old school. Listen to the science, you know, appreciate the science. Most of it's not wrong, but apply the science to old school.
Yeah. There you go. All right, you guys. So definitely check out that apparel store. Ladies, get your crop sweater while you still can. You got a couple days. And I appreciate each and every one of you. If you really enjoyed today's content, don't forget to hit that super thanks. We really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye, everyone.